So what we have seen till date is evidence is given for the purpose of establishing the existence of a fact in issue. So what is this fact in issue? Fact in issue simply means the matter in controversy. The dispute. What is the dispute? The dispute is, in a criminal case, that this man has committed a crime and the man denies that he has committed a crime. In a civil case, it may be a dispute regarding possession, a dispute regarding ownership, a dispute regarding title, a dispute regarding claim. So before going into the definition of this phrase, fact in issue, which has been defined, we must first understand what is meant by a fact. What is meant by a fact? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Same. It's not that this jurisprudence relating to circumstantial evidence that we are talking about was for the first time manufactured, created in Sharad Birdi Chand Sarda case. There are many. If you want me to refer to a case earlier to Sharad Birdi Chand Sarda, certainly I would be. Why I specifically chose Sharad Birdi Chand Sarda and this Vikramjit alias Vicky versus State of Punjab was because Vicky's facts are peculiar, where there was no evidence whatsoever of any eyewitness, not even a dying declaration, none. There was an unnatural death. The appellant was accused by the state. The appellant's version was that they were robbed and some unknown persons are responsible for whatever happened to his wife and him. Peculiar. That's why Sharad Birdi Chand Sarda is important, because it crystallized, if I may say so, those propositions, those principles, those tests. But then let me tell you, it's not that the attitude, the approach, the practice was any different before Sharad Birdi Chand Sarda case when it came to appreciating circumstantial evidence. Is that all right? Okay. So let me refer to that definition, the statutory definition of the term fact. Again, like other definitions, it reads, fact means and includes anything, state of things or relation of things capable of being perceived by the senses. And in the second clause it says any mental condition of which any person is conscious. And then there are 5 illustrations. What those illustrations are? The first illustration reads that there are certain objects arranged in a certain order in a certain place is a fact. The second reads that a man heard or saw something is a fact. The third illustration reads that a man said certain words is a fact. Is there any commonality amongst these 3? The first 3, that there are certain objects arranged in a certain order in a certain place is a fact. That a man heard or saw something is a fact. That a man said certain words is a fact. And how these 3 different from the remaining 2? The fourth illustration, illustration D, reads, and I quote, that a man holds a certain opinion, has a certain intention, acts in good faith or fraudulently, or uses a particular word in a particular sense, or is or was at a specified time conscious of a particular sensation is a fact. And the last illustration, E, that a man has a certain reputation is a fact. So as far as the first 3 are concerned, A, B and C, illustrations A, B and C are illustrations of the first part of the definition. What is that first part? Anything, state of things or relation of things capable of being perceived by the senses. 5 senses that all of us are endowed with. And certainly, if you have that 6th sense and you are able to perceive using your 6th sense, I don't think that that would not be covered. Then the last 2 illustrations, D and E, are illustrations of the second part. What is that second part again? Let me repeat. Any mental condition of which any person is conscious. Look at the illustration. The 4th one, D, that a man holds a certain opinion, has a certain intention, acts in good faith or fraudulently, or uses a particular word in a particular sense, or is or was at a specified time conscious of a particular sensation is a fact. So when you look at this arrangement of facts in this manner, you would find that this arrangement is in sync with the well-known philosophical division of facts into physical and psychological. Clause 1 deals with physical facts and clause 2 deals with psychological facts. So what is the importance of this division from the point of view of the law of evidence? It is this: direct evidence, and I use this phrase in contrast to circumstantial evidence, and not in the sense of section 60 I already explained to great extent that how the word direct evidence would have a different meaning altogether when used in relation to circumstantial evidence and when used in relation to hearsay evidence. Direct evidence is always possible of physical facts. Always possible. Direct evidence is always possible of physical facts. I heard something. I saw something. I smelt something. I felt something. That could be felt by my skin. That's something which was cold, something which was hot. What was the temperature, say for example? But as regards psychological facts, and this is very important, please listen to this very carefully. The only direct evidence possible is that of the person who is conscious of his mental condition. Very often, it is the guilty mental condition of a person that has to be established in almost all cases. Guilty mind has to be established. And this can only be done by circumstantial evidence. And presumptions which are drawn from proved relevant facts. So if you rely upon direct evidence, that is on the evidence of the very person whose state of mind is in issue, he will not attribute to himself such a guilty state of mind, except in few cases where he would be making confession in the court of law, during trial. He will not be attributing to himself such a guilty state of mind. On the contrary, will assert that he acted with an innocent state of mind. So whereas direct evidence is possible for all the physical facts, direct evidence is seldom forthcoming as far as psychological fact is concerned, except in those very, very rare cases where the person whose state of mind is in question himself gives evidence about his state of mind at the relevant time. With this, let me end.